dude, I've had about 4 coffees in the morning, bro. It's about 8 a.m., dude. And I've been cranking some Pallbearer this morning, so it's been absolutely unreal. Brett Campbell, thank you very much for joining me. It's Joe, That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crannk.com. Pallbearer are due to release their 4th album, Forgotten Days, which is an absolute gem of an album, man. I am really, really loving this album. So first off, congratulations, bro. Killer album.
Dude, thanks so much. I'm excited to finally get it out in the world for people to hear it.
The songwriting, the grooves, just everything is just on point in this album. It is one of those haunting albums where the vocals and just everything kind of has stuck with me. And it's one of these albums that I enjoy playing albums from start to finish. And I love musical journeys. And this album really does create a musical journey.
Dude, thanks so much. That was our goal. Like, we always try to make our albums kind of an experience by themselves, just, more than just like a bunch of songs together and everything.
Yeah. So that being said, how did you approach the songwriting for Forgotten Days?
I mean, really, almost just kind of like there was no real like change that we like observed. Like, we weren't like trying to go for anything specific other than like, I think we were kind of interested in writing like more sort of like stripped down songs compared to Heartless, which was like super orchestrated, but we kind of just followed whatever our intuitions were in a lot of ways. And then we kind of found the songs that, like, the early forms of songs and the riffs that we were coming up with, and found the ones that kind of were leading in the direction that interested us the most, and then just kind of finished those songs. So it was kind of like a trial and error sort of thing.
Yeah. So you and Joe kind of write the lyrics separately. I think I was reading somewhere that it's funny how you both sit away and write the lyrics separately, but the points come together so well. It must be because you're kind of really connected from playing together for so long as well.
Yeah, we've been friends since 2005, and we've shared a lot of the same experiences in our lives because we've spent a good portion of those years on the road together. And I mean, he'd like lived with me back in the day and stuff. So we've like, we spent a lot of time together. So maybe we have similar concerns and stuff in life. I don't know.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about the themes that help influence the songwriting for this? Because they're quite weighty as well and really make for some impactful music.
Well, a lot of it, at least on my end, like a lot of it's just kind of this like rumination on like change, like how life changes over time. Because like in the last decade or so, my life has changed pretty drastically. When we started the band like 12 years ago, I guess I was like 21. So between 21 and now, like my life has changed a lot. And just looking back at like, how, I mean, I've spent a lot of that time away on the road and stuff. And then, a lot of times coming back to Arkansas, it feels like things never change, but they do. And as I've gotten older, like, and other important people in my life are getting much older and or reaching like milestones in their lives and stuff, I realize things have changed quite a bit. And just looking back at things and myself, earlier versions of myself, and seeing how different things are now in what is relatively a short period of time, it kind of got me thinking about that sort of stuff. And I've always been like, on some of our other albums, I've had songs essentially about like the nature of like transfiguration and stuff like that. It's just kind of one of my obsessions, I guess. And then Joe, for his lyrics, a lot of it was him like analyzing how his mother's passing around the time that we started the band, and how that had like affected his growth as a person, and how it kind of like helped sculpt him into who he was, and like how he wasn't really able, he spent kind of 10 years kind of running away from that reality, and I think he finally was able to recognize that, I guess,
and tackle some of that as well as to be a real cathartic experience, like bringing out some of these albums to take for ages. I actually spoke to, it's funny, it's not funny, but it's sad that I spoke to you guys, but also spoke to an artist out of Nashville, Tennessee, who had the same story. He'd spent time with his mum, who'd recently passed as well a couple of years ago, and for him, bringing out music, and that songwriting experience was in part an ode to his mother as well, and it really was a touching experience, and it would be a really hard thing to deal with, the loss of a mother, but bringing this music out especially makes it more powerful. Like, you think of the story that you boys have gone through and you've battled through, and you've done it in such a positive way that his mother would be looking down and being so proud of him and the journey that he's created in Pallbearer, for sure, because the music you guys create probably influenced so many other people as well in their journey.
I hope so, man. Like, over the years, some people have come up to me at shows or like hit me up online and stuff, and have said that some Pallbearer stuff has helped them work through difficult moments and periods of their life, and like these tragedies that have happened to them. And I think if people find that kind of catharsis, or perhaps like sympathy of the
Empathy.
yeah. I think that that can be a good thing, knowing that other people out there feel how you feel, and if there's music that kind of portrays those feelings, it can be good for people.
Yeah, and your vocals work so well together. I've got to ask, Brett, were you a guitarist first? You're obviously a guitarist first.
Actually, I learned at the same time. When I was learning guitar, I from the very beginning, like, taught myself to sing and play at the same time, so I wouldn't have to. Whenever I could eventually get a band together, I was like, well, I don't want to have to deal with the vocalist and whatever egos and shit that comes along with that. So I'm like, if I do it myself, I don't have to worry about just one less person to have to, like, one less personality to have to deal with.
Yeah, one less ego I have to deal with. So you worked with Randall Dunn for this album. What was it like working with him, and what was the recording and production process like on this one?
And it was great. It was really smooth. Randall's like he had done some live shows with, like, a week of shows with us before, and we got along. He was riding in the van with us, and we got along really well. He's got a good, like, sense of humor, so he's like a fun dude to be around. But he also, like, has a really similar approach to, like, the kinds of sounds that he wants to get, and so as we do. So we were like, well, this guy, in terms of, like, big, fuzzy, nasty, epic sounding stuff, like, there's very few people who are better at that stuff than Randall. And so it was cool working with him in the studio, because he's got incredibly good taste. He's got a lot of experience, and he is also really great at finding tones. So if you when we were trying to find specific sounds for, like, like overdubs or like leads or something, we would basically just explain to him in, like, abstract terms what we wanted, and he'd be like, got it. And then set up, like, a chain. It's like, perfect. That's either exactly what we wanted or better. So, like, it made the actual, like, it let us focus on our performances more, instead of, like, in the past in the studio, we'd try a million different combinations of gear to try to search for these tones that we heard in our heads. But with Randall, it's like, 10 minutes, and then there it is. It's great.
So when did you start recording for this? When did you get in there and record all of this?
First day in the studio was November 1st of last year, and we there's a day or so of setup, so probably like the second or third, when we actually started recording. We were in there for 2 weeks, and mixed it like a few weeks later up in New York. But we recorded down in basically almost like on the Mexican border, like the very, very, very southern end of Texas, at this place called Sonic Ranch, which is like, it's on this, like, pecan orchard, like 200 or 160 acres or something. So it's a massive orchard full of trees, and then all these, like, studios scattered around this, like, complex. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, I actually watched a little bit of that video that you had on there about the making of that, saying that you were all kind of got together after each day and just kind of sat around the fire and kind of decompressed after it all. That would have been made for an extra special experience as well, recording this album, having all you guys together and being able to do that after each day.
It was great. It was almost like we were working during the day, and then at night it was almost like we were camping or something, just sitting around the campfire and drinking beers and stuff. It was pretty awesome. It's a great way to decompress.
It's a music bubble, as the sports put it now. The music bubble, man.
There was no distractions, that's for sure. There was like nothing else out there.
Yeah, I want to ask about the track "Forgotten Days"? Can you tell me a little bit about first what that track means for you?
Yeah, that song was the lyrics were inspired or kind of by my my grandmother, like going through Alzheimer's for the last 5 or 6 years, and watching her just kind of like gradually slip away. Like she's still alive, but there's fewer, and especially now there's fewer and fewer moments where it's like her,
Yeah.
And it kind of ties in with that whole thing of like memory and like identity and stuff, because it's like, if you are, what are you but a collection of memories and experiences and stuff? You define yourself in a lot of ways by the things that you've experienced and things that you know. And so like the idea of losing that is kind of, terrifying. But
Yeah.
then, people forget when they are and stuff. It's like they're like displaced in time. It's just such a strange thing. But it kind of tied in with some of the other like
themes on the album.
Exactly. So we're like,
About the gradual progression, and that you don't realize it, but every day is another day in the calendar that we can't get back. And you were saying that the memories that you have from when you first started the band 20, and now that creates everything that we are as a person. Like for me in general, all the memories and the lives that I've had up leading today has made me the person I am. So that is really a powerful song, as is this whole album. And that 12-minute Silver Wings track, dude, that is really, really, really cool, man.
Thank you, man. That was the one I spent the most time with on this album. That's probably the one I'm most like proud of my songs. Like, yeah, that was cool. I was happy how that one came together.
Yeah,
epic one. I try to do for each album at least one like super epic journey song.
For mad epic journey people like me that just love those really long songs. And for albums like this, I don't know if it's just me, but I find really powerful songs like this, I kind of go off on a little journey musically as well, listening to it. I'll find myself hearing it and then I'll be off somewhere else, kind of reminiscing, thinking about things. And for me, that is a mark of a really, really great album that can take you on a journey.
Thanks, man. That's the kind of music that I like the most, is stuff where you can be listening and you realize minutes later that your brain has gone somewhere else and you're like lost in thought somewhere while this music is taking you there. You kind of snap back to reality after a while and you're just like, what the hell happened? It's great.
I know, and people don't realize how good that is too, like with albums and with music, because I think we kind of get lost sometimes, or some people get lost in that whole digital play one song, move on to the next. But I really don't want people to forget how good it is to grab an album, especially ones like the Forgotten Days album, put it in and get lost in the music.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Definitely an experience you can't get.
Yeah, that's just how I listen to music. I'm still like 100% like an album guy. I just listen. So.
How good is the albums though? That's the thing too with albums. They've made this awesome comeback, but they look so good. One, for people like me that can see the amazing artwork and the imagery, especially on the one is created here. You've got Michael Learley, Mark's brother, who created the art, but you can see the art really good on there. And then playing a record, you put the one side in, you flip it over to the other side. It creates a whole experience, a whole listening experience.
Yeah, it's almost like ritualistic. Like there's some like aspect to. I still do that. Like I was listening to a record earlier today, and as I listened to it, I like looked through the liner notes and stuff, even though I'd read them before, but it'd been a while since I listened to it. It's just something to help you kind of like get in the mindset for an album. And I still really enjoy that.
Yep, and Pallbearer's pressed vinyl for this one as well.
Oh yeah, and all the art and stuff is really like the back cover is really intricate as well. And there's of course like a gatefold and everything. We worked with Michael to come up with cool just like visual themes and stuff that's kind of tied into the the concepts of the album. So I think it's pretty cool. And honestly, like I think the art we basically approach all of our art like this, but including on Forgotten Days, like the art itself, the physical product of the record is part of kind of the whole, you know. Like the music is our primary focus, but the art is just as important, really, because it like seals everything, you know. It creates it into a physical object.
And a whole package as well, you know, like music is art. I've always said music is art and art is life, you know, and to have the two together and to have Mark's brother who created the artwork for Heartless as well, that must have been a doubly cool experience for him to come back and you go, okay, and these are the themes we want to go with. And just to let him create this beautiful piece of art for the cover art, the inside and everything else.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, man. I love his stuff. Like just looking at his paintings that he does in his normal, you know, job and for fun, I guess. Like he's been an artist for years and years, and just looking at his stuff just blows my mind. So I feel like we're really lucky that our drummer has such a talented brother, you know. It's cool. It kind of keeps it close too. Like we like to work with our friends and or people who are like really close to us in one way or another. And it keeps it more personal as well. Like it's not just like some generic like, you know, Photoshop monstrosity or whatever. It's like a piece of physical art made by somebody who's connected in some way to us.
To
So it's
Pallbearer.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Quicksand of Existing. I like the film clip for that. Can you tell me a little bit about that track, man?
That was one of Joe's songs, and we when he brought that one to the practice space, we were having such a fun time playing that one, man. It's like it's such a stupid riff, but in like the best way. Like I love just big dumb riffs, and that's like a very big and very dumb riff. It's just so much fun to play. So yeah, we assume that would be a really fun live song, but we've yet to play it live. So hopefully one day.
Yeah, well, I'm dead ass, I suppose, since we've asked, have you said anything about playing live at all? It's different everywhere, and it's hard to plan anything at this stage because shit can change from moment to moment. You're going to plan something next week or next month or 3 months from now, and who knows where we're going to be.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it seems like the other shoe is constantly dropping. So it's like, you think it can get worse? Well, you're fucking wrong. Like, constantly. So I don't know, man. Who knows? Like I will be surprised if we play before 2022. Our manager sent us some dates a while back for like fall, basically like September of going to Europe in like September of next year, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, I'm like, that looks cool, but I'll believe it when I see it. You know, we'll see.
Yeah, I actually spoke to a guy who went over. He was a French guy who's living in America now, and he's gone to Germany. He's actually in Germany at the moment on tour, and he's like, each day is changing for him. So he had a show that was like for the next day or something. He said that was canned on him as well. So he doesn't know what's happening.
Wait, he's touring right now?
Yeah, he's touring right now. I thought it was like weird, so I had to have a chat to him about it, dude. And he said he had a show that was booked for the next day that was canned, and then he was doing a couple more that he'd already done some. Yeah, well, I don't know how he got around it, but he's a French guy. He must have dual passports or something to be able to do both.
That's crazy, man. I didn't think anybody was. I mean,
I know. I had to have a chat to him about it. It was pretty funny, Brett. It was a cool chat, that's for sure. So. Guys, I'm going to sign out. I'm going to let you get out the rest of your day, Brett. I'm sure you have a ton more interviews to do. Thank you very much for your time. Before I sign out, do you have any last words you want to add in, mate?
Man, I just want to thank everybody and thank you for your interest. And, you know, I hope everybody checks out the album. I think it's, you know, at this point, it's my favorite one that we've done just because I think the newest one's always everybody's favorite. But, yeah, I think it's sick. And I'm excited to one day return to the road and hopefully see you guys out there one day.
Hopefully get you over to Australia once all this COVID stuff gets the F out of here and get Pallbearer over to Australia to bring some of that great metal, bro. That would be really cool. Everyone, grab Forgotten Days. That comes out October 23rd. Get it, and you're going to want to turn it up really loud because the neighbours are going to want to hear this one as well. Brett, thank you very much for your time, mate. You have a lovely day, dude. Cheers, mate, from Australia.
Appreciate it. Later.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers.